I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night wherever you're watching this transmission. Thanks for joining us and being part of the channel for another update, news update, or what they're trying to sell us or tell us. It is I, Mike Martins, your voice of the Commonwealth. So what is going on? There is a lot going on. Guys, don't forget to check out our last Odyssey, Mike in the Night, episode 450. We had incredible call-ins. That really good show, really good, well-balanced, good call-in, newsworthy discussion show. So there it is right there, episode 450 of Mike in the Night on Odyssey. You really have to dig to find it. We are not, I don't know, we're just not easy to find. We never were easy to find in the last 10 years. Okay, so what is happening? So this is it. This is the mainstream media in Australia that is the closest to the action there in China that could report on what's going on. Prepare for war. Taiwan braces for Chinese invasion as US Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans visit. Now, this is how I see it. If Nancy Pelosi plans a visit and says she's going to go to Taiwan and have a discussion, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards, all political jargon, right? It's all political theater. She's going to go there. She's going to do her thing. Now, here's the deal. If she decides not to go there, guess what? China is in control. This shows that China was right and China is in total control. So this is the problem America keeps putting itself into. It's not the American people, the American administration that's destroying the American middle class and basically destroying the fabric of what it is to be American. The American administration that I know that wasn't voted in, that was selected in, all selected. And that's why when the midterm elections comes, I keep telling people in America, get out of the blue states before the midterms start kicking in full force in October, November. So there it is. So plans a visit. So Taiwan is preparing for war and has called officers back from leaves as it braces for a Chinese invasion, according to local media. The Taiwanese National Defense Ministry said to have briefed its air defenses that it should prepare for war in the coming days. So there it is right there. And that's the media, that's propaganda. Well, it's the media preparing its people. Taiwan is in a really tight situation. And China puts military spectacle in attempt to scare Nancy Pelosi away from Taiwan. So China's saber rattling. We talked about this on the last Mike of the Night. China's been saber rattling for the last, 10, 12 years. Flexing its military might, and you see it here. And what are these? I don't want to flag it for audio there, but there it is right there. And they are flexing their military might and flexing their muscles. Okay, so what did I say back on November 4th, 2020? Happened with the previous administration. So what's going to happen then? First thing, Taiwan. Bye-bye, Taiwan. Goodbye, Taiwan. Taiwan will be taken over by China. What's going to happen in Australia? Well, it's kind of funny. Well, this is a Biden win. So this is a Biden selection back on November 4, 2020. All right. So this is kind of weird. Corrupt foreign entities are buying up massive carbon capture pipeline project in Midwest to fight global warming. Thought it wasn't called global warming anymore because it wasn't warming, and we have proof of it right here. The stats here that are basically suppressed, everything's here. So I don't understand we understand, we get it on this channel, but all right. A foreign corporation with a shady background is trying to build a massive 2,000-mile web of carbon capture pipelines across the American Midwest, and area farmers and residents are furious about it. Summit Carbon Solutions is reportedly trying to install the piping on private properties in Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota to capture carbon dioxide. What the heck? CO2 for more than 30 ethanol plants. Liquefy it and send it to North Dakota to be buried in rock roughly a mile underground. What? A new technology, which sounds ridiculous because it is, supposedly helps to find climate change and global warming by grabbing the natural element out of the air and plunging it deep into the earth. God is in charge of the wind and the rain and the sun. Whatever amount of carbon they pump in the ground, it's not going to change the climate. says Colin Hoffman, a third-generation cattle rancher, Leal, South Dakota. Nature can adapt. Exactly. Nature can adapt. And this is all political weather, political science, political jargon. It's all kinds of BS. All right, so what's going on? Hong Kong slips into recession as economy shrinks 1.4% in second quarter. So there it is. We're looking at hot war as economies start to contract from the first world areas of the planet. You're going to start to see a contraction. So Hong Kong records a contraction in gross domestic product for a second consecutive quarter, meaning the city has fallen into economic recession. Analysts say Hong Kong's economy is likely to face further pressure unless borders with mainland China and the rest of the world fully reopen. So again, there's the zero policy that's happening in China and Australia and other parts of the world. FBI bot farm repeatedly wishes themselves a happy birthday on social media. So yeah, so they can't even get their spying and technology under control that they're actually wishing themselves a quadrillion times happy birthday. And listen to this one. A passenger fined in the United States fined in US dollars, $1,874 after 2 undeclared McMuffins found in luggage. A passenger traveling from Bali to Indonesia to Australia has found themselves paying a hefty price for McDonald's breakfast. An unnamed traveler was handed a fine of 2,664 Australian dollars after 2 undeclared Egg McMuffin, sausage muffins, and ham croissants were found in their luggage on arriving at the Darwin airport in the country's Northern Territory last week. So they arrived in Australia, they had undeclared McMuffins, and it's costing them almost 2,000 American. Now, why am I reading this? Well, because it makes a lot of sense. They need to fund. Governments need funding. Governments are running out of money. They're printing money up the wazoo. The money laundering coming in from China is stopping. So they need something. So what they're doing now is they're going to start fining people regardless of whatever it is. They're just going to make up laws on the spot if they have to, and they're going to fine you. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to tax us to death. And we talked about that on the channel a quadrillion. I have videos going back saying they're going to tax us to death 10 years ago on the channel. I was telling people to get out of the major cities. Now, Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president there, takes a jab at Leonardo DiCaprio to lecture his hypocrisy, telling the virtue-signaling actor that he should give up his yacht before lecturing the world about environment. So Bolsonaro, a lot of people, if you don't know, he's the Donald Trump of Brazil, and they've been trying to get him impeached, kicked out, all kinds of stuff since he's taken office. And there it is right there. This is Leonardo DiCaprio aboard his mega yacht that burns over 300 gallons of diesel fuel per hour. 300 gallons per hour. He wants you to know that you're not taking climate change seriously enough. So there it is right there. And then he goes like this. So when I was reading this, I'm like, I'm not understanding what he's trying to say. Like, I get what he's saying, but why is he saying it like this? It's because it's translated from Portuguese. So it basically says, "You again, Leo, this way you will become my best electoral cable. As we say in Brazil, could tell you again to give up your yacht before lecturing the world, but I know progressivists. You want to change the entire world, but never yourselves. So I will let you off. I'll let you off the hook." So there it is right there, and it is translated from Portuguese, of course. And there he is saying that, yes. Okay, out of control wildfire pushing closer to resort in BC interior. So I'm in the BC interior, not too far north though, but the wildfires are starting to pick up here, so please have me in your prayers, folks. And InfoWars is reporting no warming in the U.S. for at least 17 years, and we've been talking about this too. That the Antarctica and the North Pole have been expanding in size, right? Years, according to rarely referenced urban heat-free database. So there it is, right there. So they've been talking about this on InfoWars since the time of Moses. But here it is, right here. Everything is temperature equipment sites all over the United States, and they're finding out that, so it's not warming, so they had to, I guess what happened was, Some of the big wigs were realizing that people will catch on that the Earth it really isn't as warming as much as it should. Or maybe, we did have heat waves before, but when you go against recorded and looking for anomalies, you do find patterns and shift patterns. And again, like that guy said in the other article, that it's God. It's right here. We read it right here. He basically says nature could adapt. That's what it is. It's whatever. And he says God's in charge of the wind and the rain and the sun, and whatever the amount of carbon they pump into the ground is not going to change the climate, says Colin Hoffman, a third-generation cattle rancher in Leola, South Dakota. Nature can adapt, he said. So, again, this whole thing to try and unify the world under one government through a weather coordinates, and that's what we saw back in 2019 when they were protesting. The world was in protest in 2019. Almost every country on the planet, except I think it was 19 countries now. I've been looking into it very deep to try and make a documentary to kind of show how 2019 basically 2020 needed to go on shutdown because governments were losing grip as people lost confidence in governments around the world. And you could find it by simply typing 2019, the year of the protest. And, I mean, you could find all kinds of stuff on 2019 being the year of the protests as people were losing confidence in their governments, and the world was in protest. And we're talking about ousting a ton of governments. Let me get some images here for you guys. I don't want to play the video. So, it won't skip ahead, unfortunately. So the whole world was in protest from everywhere, Europe, Australia, and then they threw this in. And you know why they threw this in for? Do you know why? Because they were spinning at climate change. As Chile was fighting against 1,000% increase in electricity bills, Argentina, same thing, where they rose electricity bills and started cutting people's pensions, and parts of Brazil and all over the world was pretty much protesting. But they brought this in to state that it's climate change, and people have had enough about the climate change. And that's the problem. Here it is. Look, in the Americas, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Venezuela, all experience popular unrest, and the list goes on. But they're trying to spin it. Anti-government protests in Iraq continue. There it is right there. Look at this. All over. All over. Hong Kong protests clash with police during Christmas Eve confrontations. Remember the big protests there? And the ones in France, all over the world? Everywhere. Everywhere was protesting. But, again, we can't really discuss the facts and truth, but we do on here as much as we can. Anyways, guys, share this video out there if you can. I would love to spread the word. And don't forget to join us, guys, on Mike in the Night with Collins. And you could be call into the show if you have something to say. And if you want to debunk me or have something to say or call me out, please go ahead and call in and let us know how you feel. It's not a one-sided show. I urge people to come on and create debate, and other callers could call in and discuss what the other caller said or agree, disagree. So be part of the channel there. It's on Odyssey there, and it's Mike Martins. All right, guys, thank you for watching, being part of the channel, liking and subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. Mike Martins here. I have spoken.